Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Armstrong here from Other Miniatures, and today we have of course Wasteland Wednesday. And what we're gonna be working on, we're gonna be working on this made in China Homer or whatever you call it car. Yeah, we want to give it some weapon, armor it up, and then paint it in green. Well, it is already green, but I want to unify them in this kind of apple-ish green. I don't know how to call that green. Yeah, but that's gonna be my Routerhof. So what we want to do, we want to attach a giant flamethrower. Yeah, it's gonna be our crowd control vehicle. So it needs to have, something armored in here, some ram in front, and probably a tombstone in the back, and a flamer, and the fuel for that flamer, and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just get on the table and start building. Alright, so my table today is on mitigated disaster, but let's not talk about that. Yeah, we have this guy in here. I don't gonna be changing the wheels, even though those are fairly crappy. I just don't see a reason for it. What we're gonna start with, we're gonna have to add a plate of plastic in here, because the ram that I chosen, if I put it as it should be, it's just literally touching the wheels. So I need to give it at least that 1 extra mil of space. Yeah, so we have this, and we're gonna put that in as our... where did I put my slippers? Like I said, my desk is a disaster today. There we go, there are my clippers. Oh, this entire thing is a disaster today, I guess. Let me just cut off the factory edge because it's not very edgy. And now, I think this much. A little bit too long. Let's just cut it a tiny bit. Here much. Should be fine. Okay, and then we just grab super glue and slap it in. Okay, that's the first thing. And you can see that I have like multitude of weapons, but I decided on the flamethrower. I have this giant flamethrower. I already did sand down the what do you call it, the print supports, and we're gonna just smack it on the back of the car. There we go, that's our flamethrower sitting here. I decided as well on the engine sticking out, so that's gonna be our engine. I was thinking about scratch building it, but I'm gonna be honest, for this casting I didn't really feel like spending all of that extra time on scratch building the engine completely. Then we're gonna need some extra fuel tanks, and I'm considering to just cover one of those windows with those fuel tanks. But I think that I'm just gonna put them on the back here. It's gonna look better, even though the consideration was there for a while. So we have one, and there should be a second one here. There we go. Okay. So 2 jerry cans makes the back of the car wider, and this should be already dry, so we can attach the extra spoiler, which is actually gonna work beautifully for this car. I was thinking about one of those ones with the skulls, that look more like a train plow, but nope, this actually looks great. It makes the entire silhouette of the car work correctly, which I love. It is, a fun thing. Now, for the windows, I can probably cover the back windows with double of those plates. So let's do that. The amount, yeah, of course I don't do the straight cuts ever, because why would I ever do them straight? That's my biggest problem, whenever I'm building stuff. My cuts are always crooked. I'm looking at people scratch building stuff and they always have this perfect freaking cuts. And I'm like, how the hell are they doing that? Like me, I may try and I just fail. I'm gonna leave a little bit of a gap so people can actually look through this. I don't know if it's gonna be visible after painting, but that's my idea. So let's just do the second one, and we're gonna do actually as well the passenger side window the same way. Yeah, I mean about the front one in here, because there is no plastic in those windows. So yeah, or maybe driver's side as well, just with a little slit. Yeah, leave a slit like that. I think that's actually a great idea. Just 2 lines. Now, would that work, or do I need to cut them? Yeah, 1 and then 2. That's basically our fire line. Okay, let's try it. If it's gonna work, that's great. If it's not gonna work, I didn't lose anything. Just a little bit of plastic art that I can use on something different. So here, and here. And now my finger's gonna get stuck to the car. So we have 1. Actually, I can do that. I can just overlap them and pretend that, that there might be a gap in there. We can just paint it in black in that little... No, I can do this. I can leave the gap, even if this is gonna be sticking out. Yeah, maybe they have a mechanism in there to actually lower it down. Yeah, that works for me, for my imagination of that situation. And now for these windows, we're gonna cover them with the reflective armor plating. Reactive armor plating. I'm actually trying to make the Rutherhof cars make sense, because in general, they're supposed to be military-esque faction. So I would think that, maybe they have a couple of ex-military in there, and they know how this stuff works. Not just slapdash everything together. Sorry. Just my intrusive thought about the game. Yeah. So that would be the reactive plating for the side windows of the car. Like, I know that I'm limiting the view of the driver and passengers and everything else, but I would think that if they have zombies, problem, they would rather not be scratched or bitten or anything like that. So that's what I'm thinking. And there we have it. Let me actually bring this in. So this is a gardening wire. It is very flexible. It can bend to whatever you want. And I know that I just have it outside of the screen, but that's what I'm looking at. And just gonna cut a piece of it. I think it is a copper wire within just, very thick protective plastic, rubber, whatever. And I'm just thinking that I can just bend them to go, yeah, there. Let's just try this way. A little bit shorter. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just literally gonna cut it in here. Yeah, so there is no... see how it's gonna work. Yeah, it does. So let's just put a dot of glue in here, dot of glue in here, and now finally use some tweezers to not get covered in super glue, which I usually tend to do when I'm working on those kind of little finicky stuff. Okay, so we have one, and now let's just bend another one 90 degrees, a little bit more, cut it to the length, so like that. Still too long. All right, and now cut this. I'm just gonna probably cut it a little bit too long to then have the space to work it in. Yep. Actually, if I can bend this a little bit more, it should work. Yep. Okay, so 2 dots of glue, 1 and 2. There we go. And now for the back, I would like to put 2 of them, but overlapping each other, yeah, and covering the fuel tanks as well from the back. So that's gonna be roughly this long. Oh, it's just using the entire remaining bar. That's great. That works. Sorry, I still have massive cough. I didn't recover from that flu yet. I'm still on the antibiotics, and I'm hoping that it's gonna pass as soon as possible. Yeah. Because my life right now is mostly sleeping. So yeah. Not great, but what can we do? Well, in the retrospective, it could be great, you know, that I'm sleeping all the time, but I never feel rested. So that's like an extra skirt, you know, of explosive protection if somebody is shooting me from this car from the back. All right, so now it's painting time. I really don't have any, like I said, fancy ideas. Yeah, we're gonna be using a spray paint. I think that I'm gonna be using this grass green. Yep, that's the one that I used on the previous one of the previous cars that I tested, the one for the diorama. Yeah, so I'll be back after this is dried. Yeah, and then of course we're gonna pick up the plates with the metallics, you know, make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so we have everything undercoated. Yeah, the ample amount from the last video, from the last recording passed, you know, it's been over a week. I got sick in the meantime, and because of that never posted any video, but that's just a lame excuse. Yeah, so right now let's just give the dry brush to all of the metallic parts, yeah, to bring them into the thing. If you are paying attention, you can probably see that the paint, the black paint, did actually spill over onto the green. The green paint for some reason is very slick. It doesn't like any other paints on it. Yeah, so it was a new experience. But yeah, like I said, you know, unfortunately I recorded the first part of the video, then I skipped a day because I was supposed to post it on the same day. I didn't, and I went to the hospital. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come back from the hospital, I'm gonna record, and of course, you know, like I always have to do, I got sick. I've been sick for a week, so that's why I never posted the video. Yeah, well, actually I think that I mentioned this, that I was actually sick when I was recording the video, and I never finished. So yeah, the usual stuff. But we're gonna finish this one finally, and then I think that I'm gonna record more Wastelands videos this week, just to apologize for my tardiness with the videos. Now let's just look, do I have anything that looks sandy or stony? This one, Karak Stone from Citadel. It looks like a good paint to do a little bit of weathering. And I'm not using any palettes today. Oh, this one is stock. Let's just grab a toothpick. Yeah. I transferred the Citadel paints to the dropper bottles a couple of years ago, and because how often I use them, it wasn't a good idea. At least in my opinion. Even though at the time it looked like a good idea. Alright, so that's gonna be our sandy color. And let's just see what we can do in here. It's actually a decent color for this. I know that I always go with a very quick approach, but I'm trying to correct myself and do stuff, you know, with more of a thinking when I'm placing the colors. I really need to put this in here because I'm putting my hands farther and farther and I'm not recording anything. So there we go, and then we're gonna go in here. Yeah, you can add mud, like a correct, like thick dusting of it. Because this is desert at the end of the day, so why would those cars not be dirty yet with this? Okay, and I think that's it for the dirtying it. Now let's just grab my dry palette. Where did I toss it? Oh, it was here. I simply don't have a palette on me. And I want to use a little bit of this Fire Giant Orange from the Speed Paints as a little bit of a roast. Where is like a frayed brush? There we go. It is a nice looking orange, but if you don't apply it thickly, as you should with the speed paints, it actually leaves just a rusty stains on the metallic surfaces. So it worked very well. As you can hear, the cough is still with me, unfortunately. I wish it was gone, but it doesn't want to go away. And now we're just gonna apply a couple of drops of red. On the metallics it can work as a rust. On the front of the car it could be just blood splatters. Yeah, but I think that generally for this car, this is it. We don't really need to do much more. He is done. So I'm gonna grab my spin table and we're gonna make the last step. So here he is finally finished, a little bit not in the center, yeah, but we have that military car finish. It's the second one from the series, yeah. The first one was the general's car, this one, yeah. I actually like both colors. Both greens are actually working and they look like they belong in the same team, and that's important, yeah. So if you like this video, yeah, you know what to do. Rate, comment, subscribe, share, you know, spread the word. And everyone have a great day and take care. Bye bye.